Hi, welcome to CSE114, Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming, and this is Summer 2 Extended 2023 semester. So this is the first lecture where we will learn about course logistics or course information. So let's start with the course description. So CSE114 will start with the Introduction to Procedural Programming Concepts, and later on we will get into the details of object-oriented programming. So in the initial lectures you will learn about the very basic concepts of programming involving variables, and then once you understand the different kinds of variables, their role in programming, then we will get into more interesting programming structures, or programming structure you may call it, that would involve the conditional statements, which are if and if else statement. And then after that, we will get into the iterative programming concept, which will involve learning of the loop statements like for loop, while loop, do while loop. And after learning about these iterative statements, we will get into the concept of procedures. And in procedures, different programming languages have different procedure. Like some languages like C and C++, they call the procedures as functions. But in Java, the functions are called methods. So in procedures, you would learn about methods in Java. And I should mention this thing, that we are going to use Java as the programming language for this course, which is Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming. Now, after learning about methods, which means the procedures here, we will learn about arrays, which are data structures and are extremely useful in writing some complex programs. Then we'll get into the object-oriented programming, where we will learn about the concept of objects and the classes which are used to define objects. And in object-oriented programming, we will be learning about the concepts of encapsulation, information hiding, inheritance, and polymorphism. So these are some of the very important and most interesting topics of CSE 114. After that, we'll get into the file I/O. We will learn about exception handling, and we would also learn about the interfaces, abstract classes. So these terms have not been mentioned over here because it is not possible to have all these topics in the course description, which is supposed to be short. We will also learn about recursion. Okay, so let's look at the prerequisite. So the prerequisite is math, level 4 math exam. And there are advisory prerequisites, which are CSE 114 or ISC 108. Now let's look at the course focus. So course focus is to give the student some understanding of the object-oriented software development. So when you learn to write object-oriented programming, that will happen, I believe, in the second half of the semester, you will get a very good understanding of how the object-oriented softwares are being developed. We will also learn about problem solving. So problem solving is integral to any course on programming, because what do we do in programming? We write programs to solve a problem. So the problem could be as simple as computing n factorial, as an example. I hope you know what is n factorial. Just to give you some background, let's look at an example. 5 factorial is defined as 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. Okay, so once we know how this factorial is to be computed, then we need to learn this problem solving skill, which means how to think about solving or computing the n factorial for a given value of n. Like when n is given as 5, then we'll compute its 5 factorial as 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1. So this is something we will learn in problem solving, which you can also call as the algorithmic thinking. So don't worry about this term algorithmic thinking and algorithm, but precisely that's what you would be doing in every program. So you'll have to first think about the logic to solve this. So, well, we are not going to do that today, but for n factorial, the way we have computed it, or the way I have solved it over here, we will make use of loop or the iterative statements, right? So this is what we mean by problem solving. So first you should be clear about the logic that you have to follow in solving a problem. And then once that logic is clear, then you will think about its implementation. So implementation means writing this concept or the logic in a programming language, which for us is going to be Java. So the course focus would be in learning about the object-oriented concepts, which involves understanding about objects, understanding about the concept of information hiding, about polymorphism, about inheritance, and as I said, our programming language is going to be Java. So let's get some more information about it. So meeting information. So that means how the course should be delivered. So this is an online version of the course, and this online lectures are to be delivered in asynchronous mode. So we need to understand what this asynchronous term is. So for asynchronous, we'll have lectures as well as lab meetings. So we don't have any fixed time for lecture. So what I'll do, I will be posting my recorded lecture on Brightspace, and then you would be required to watch those videos and go through the lecture notes that I'll be posting on the Brightspace itself, and then you're supposed to go through those lecture notes and watch my videos and finish some lab assignments or the homeworks by some deadlines. All right, so there's no fixed time for the lecture. That's what we mean by asynchronous. In an in-person mode of teaching, the lectures are in person and they are synchronous. Synchronous means we have a fixed time where the instructor and the students they meet and the lecture is delivered for a fixed time, like 1 hour and 20 minutes. And usually we have 2 meetings per day for lecture, and similarly 2 meetings per week for the lab also. So let me correct. I think what I mean to say is in an in-person mode of CSE 114, there are 2 lecture meetings per week and 2 lab meetings per week, and each lecture and each lab meeting is for 1 hour and 20 minutes. That is when we do it in the in-person mode and synchronous teaching. But here it is going to be different. It is online and asynchronous. So what will happen? I will be providing the course material, that means the link to the video lectures, lecture slides or the lecture notes, homework and lab assignments. Everything will be posted on Brightspace, and you are supposed to upload the program, what we call as the source code, for lab as well as homework on the Brightspace. And similarly, the exams will also be conducted online in synchronous manner, and that will be available on Brightspace. I'll talk about exams in the later slides. Well, office hours I'm going to hold in online manner but synchronous way. So that means we have a fixed time for office hours. So I'll give you that information, and I'll be holding office hours on Zoom. So the same applies to the TAs also. They are also going to hold office hours online and in asynchronous mode on Zoom. Now all the announcements and the reading assignments, slides and etc. are to be posted on Brightspace. This information I already mentioned in the previous bullets. So a little bit about myself. I'm Praveen, and my office hours are going to be online on Zoom as I mentioned, and I'll be holding my office hours on Tuesday and Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and this is going to be New York time. So please keep that in mind. And here I have the link to my meeting on Zoom, and here you'll find the meeting ID and the passcode for attending that meeting. And this is my email that I prefer. So if you want to reach out to me through the email, then please use this CS email of mine. You can also use my Stony Brook email, but I prefer my CS email. Now here you have the information about TAs. So these are the graduate TAs. I have one undergrad TA also. I'm waiting for the information about his office hours, and once that is available to me, I'll be sharing that with you. So these are three TAs, Shreya, Abhishek, and Gaurav. You have the information about the TAs, their email, their office hours, and the meeting links. So please reach out to them for any help if you need. So now let's discuss some very basic things which are often ignored by students in their communication with the instructor or the TA, which is about their email, like what information they must have in the email if they want to reach out to us for some help. So first of all, I would request you to have this information that you are my student in CSE 114 in summer of 2023. So keep that in your email header or somewhere in the body. And your problem should be explained in more detail. As an example, say if you're writing just like I can't do the homework, then probably it's very difficult to help you out. Like probably I'll say, okay, fine, what is your problem? So, in place of just saying I can't do the homework, a better message would be that I don't understand part 2 of homework 1. So if your message says something like this, which is more specific, I would say where you're describing your problem, then I'll be in a better situation to help you out. So we will be using Piazza. So I did not create Piazza yet. I will be creating the Piazza for this course, and I'll enroll you all in Piazza, and you can use the Piazza platform for course related questions and answers. So if you have any question, then it will be best to check if somebody from the class has already asked this question on Piazza, and you should be using Piazza to ask question regarding the concept from the lecture, or anything that we are asking on assignment where probably probably where you don't understand what is being asked by in the question, where you have some ambiguity with the wordings of the questions in the assignment. So those basic things you can ask on Piazza if you have any question about those. Now, while using Piazza, you should be extremely careful about what you post over there, because you may get trapped in this academic dishonesty case if you post solutions of the assignment or the solution of the labs there. So you're not supposed to post any source code or any program uh, over there if that is a part of your homework or lab assignment. So be careful about what you post on Piazza. No solution of the homework or the lab should be posted over there. Now, if you are stuck on some problem in lab or a homework, or you have some question regarding some concept which you want to discuss, then please send us an email either to me or the TA, or for any appointment if you need, or if you want, or else you can join us in our office hours too. So for grading concerns also, you can reach out to us through our email or in our office hours. Okay, so I mean, this will happen later, right? So probably by the time I share this recording with you, I must have created Piazza for you. If that is the case, then you'll receive an invitation email from Piazza. So what I'll do, probably I'll share this recording after I have created Piazza for this course. Now let's look at the textbook. Which textbook is what is the information about the textbook for this course? So the textbook that I'll be using is Introduction to Java Programming, brief version. That's the 11th edition, and the author is Daniel Liang, and this book is published by Pearson. So often the students have questions about the edition of the book. I would recommend 11th edition because in 11th edition, I would assume there are more problems for practice compared to the older editions like edition 10 or edition 9. So if you are thinking of buying a textbook then I'll say you should buy this textbook, which is Introduction to Java Programming, brief version. So there's another book written by the same author, which is Introduction to Java Programming and Data Structures, I believe, which is comprehensive version. So unless you want to learn about data structures also, I would say you should stick to this one only. You don't need to buy the comprehensive version for this course. But if you got a copy of the comprehensive version from your friend or any other resource, then that is fine, because that comprehensive version will anyway have the contents of CSE 114. And it's okay with me whether you buy a soft copy of the textbook or a printed version. It is up to you. And we need only the textbook. We are not using my programming lab, so that is not required. You just need the textbook. If you have any questions, please join me in my office hours or send me an email. I'll try my best to help you out with your queries. So now let's look at the softwares that we will need. So we need Java, because we will be programming in Java. So for that, you will have to install JDK on your computer. That is freely available from this link, which is www.oracle.com. So please go there and install JDK. And it is recommended that you use an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment. And there are a number of very popular IDEs available, which are listed over here: IntelliJ IDEA, Eclipse, NetBeans, or even we have more options. So it is up to you, like which one you find more convenient to use. But often it also depends on the TAs, and I believe you'll be interacting with the TAs. So I would say, okay, fine, just reach out to your TA and just ask them the questions like which IDE they would recommend you. And in the last semester, in spring of 23, I used IntelliJ and I like that. So you might go with IntelliJ, right? So it all depends on your choice and the TAs. So in the first lab, which you'll have in the very first week of the semester, you will be given the task of installing JDK on your computer and also installing one of the IDE and learning to write very simple Java program, and for which TAs are going to help you out. Okay, so all that information will be posted very soon. So don't worry if you can't get to install JDK, or you don't know what is an IDE and how to write program over there. TAs are going to help you out in the first week, and I'll share the information about that very soon on Brightspace. So let's think about the coursework. So you'll have the programming lab that will account for 15% of your final grade. You'll have homework assignment that will account for 20%. Then there's going to be one midterm exam that will account for 30%. And then you'll have one final exam which will account for 35%. So if you add everything, I'm pretty sure that it will add up to 100%. So for final exam, you'll have 2 hours, whereas for your midterm exam, you'll have 1 hour and 20 minutes. So all the exams will be online, and that will be synchronous, right? Synchronous means there is a fixed time, and in which I'll discuss, right? I have the tentative exam date and time, so it's going to be online but synchronous. And there will be okay, wait a second, there will be one midterm exam. Sorry about that, I need to fix it. There will be one midterm exam and a final exam. So these are all cumulative, right? So I should not have erased cumulative. So there will be one cumulative midterm exam and a cumulative final exam. So for one midterm, cumulative doesn't make much sense, but that's okay. All the exams will be closed book and closed notes. The exams will be administered using Respondus Lockdown browser and monitor. So for monitor, please make sure that you have a webcam available. So I have this understanding that if you are planning to use a laptop, then I think that all the laptops, they come integrated with a webcam. So unless there is some issue with your webcam that it's not working, so make sure that you have a working webcam either integrated in your laptop or as an, maybe a separate webcam if you're using a desktop for example. Now, this is an extremely important information about makeup exam, right? So I would encourage you to make sure that you know the rules regarding makeup exam. So makeup exams will be given only in extenuating circumstances, means extreme cases, like if you were sick, or something unfortunate happens in somebody's family, right? For that also I would need the documents. Only on the basis of those documents I would allow you a makeup exam. So let's think about somebody who's fallen sick. So for that, that person who is sick must go to a doctor in person, right? So unfortunately, I'm not going to accept any telemedicine kind of certificate or any note from the tele doctor. No, if you were sick, you want a makeup, then you must reach out to a doctor in person and should get the doctor's note of your in-person doctor's visit. And the doctor's note should state that you were and were unfit to take the exams. All right, so please read this thing. This is a little detailed, and I'll say that you should understand this rule before you opt for makeup exam. All right, so if it's not very urgent, then I would say you should not miss exams, because your request for makeup exam would be evaluated against these guidelines. And only if we think that it is a genuine case, we'll give you makeup exam. Otherwise, not. So let's think about your assignments and the lab. So when you're writing the program for lab and assignment, then your correctness is binary, which means either the program will work or will not work at all. So 0 versus 1. So the assignment grading will focus on correctness, and there may not be any partial grading on the assignment. So make sure that your assignments, which means your lab and homeworks, are totally correct. So again, the same thing, aim for the coding correctness when you go. And one more thing that you need to understand, right, that your grades are based on how you perform. So on the basis of your performance in the exams and on the assignment, you'll get a letter grade. But we have no means of evaluating how much effort you're putting in. So my general understanding is that if you're putting your best effort, then definitely that would be reflected in your performance. But your grade is based just on your performance, not on your effort. And the grades are non-negotiable, right? So please don't attempt to do that. Try your best in your exams and in your assignments. Assignment summation, every assignment will have the submission instructions. Please, you should read those instructions carefully. And this is not Blackboard. You have to submit your homework through Brightspace. Earlier I used Blackboard, but now in the semester I'll be using Brightspace. Deadlines are non-negotiable. Any late or improperly submitted assignment will not be considered for grading. As an example, for all the programs, we would need your .java files. Okay, so that's what we need for every problem that you're solving. You should not submit .class file. So this you may not understand right now, but very soon you would understand the difference between .java and .class, right? So if you're submitting .class files for .java, then you won't be getting any points for that. You should submit what is required, and within the deadline. After deadline, we will not accept your submission. Now let's look at the grading schema, which is important. So the pass or no credit option is not available for this course. So this policy applies to all CSE, ISE undergraduate courses. Now you might be wondering about the grade cutoff. So here is the strict rule for grade cutoff. So if you score 95 or above, you're going to get an A. And for your score which is less than 95, which is in between 90 to 95, I would say, including 90 but excluding 95, then you will get A minus, and so on and so forth, right? So you can look at this cutoffs to understand what letter grade you would get on the basis of your final weighted uh, grade. So if the rule is that if your final total percentage in the class is above the class average, then you are guaranteed to receive a letter C or higher for this class. So that's the rule behind this cutoff. Now what will happen at the end of the semester? All the points for all the exams, homework, assignment, and the labs are incorporated in computing your final total, right? So this I have already explained to you when I said that the lab assignments are going to be 15% and the midterm is going to be 30%, probably exam is going to be 35, right? So this is what I mean. Wait a second. This thing, okay? So here is this percentage information that lab is going to be 15% of your grade, homework is going to be 20%, midterm is 30%, and final exam is to be 35%, right? So at the end of the semester, when we have all the grade for your exams, your homework, and lab, then we will consider then these weightage for different components, and will compute your final weighted score. And then once I have the score for all the students, I will compute the average, right? We'll compute the class average with the cutoff for C grade, right? So that is 73 here. Now you might be wondering, like, what will happen if the average was not 73? If the average was less than 73, then what would be the criteria? So let's look into that. So if the class average is above 73, then we will use the same grade cutoff, right? So which we have in the previous bullet. But if the class is below 73, let's look at this case. If the class average is below 73, say if the class average is 70, then what I'll do, I will deduct the difference between the fixed cutoff and the class average from all the cutoffs. So what does it mean? Look at this cutoff now. Since now the class average is 70, not 73, so I will adjust each cutoffs appropriately. Right now, A will be from 92 to 100. A minus will be from 87 to 92. Right? So look at this thing and make sure that you understand these rules. Now, important dates: the classes are starting from 20th of this month, which is going to be the Tuesday next week. Now, tentative test schedule. Your midterm test would be on 7th of July, that is falling on Friday, and it will be from 8:45 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. and it is going to be New York time. Alright, so it will be online on Brightspace, and you'll be using Respondus Lockdown browser and monitor. So these are tentative dates, right? So with very low probability, these dates may change, but very unlikely. And your final exam is going to be on 16th of August 23, that is on Wednesday, and the time is going to be from 8:45 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. So that is 2 hours. Okay, and it is again New York time. And we'll be using the same tool. We'll be using Respondus Lockdown browser, and the test will be available on Brightspace. So guys, the most important thing over here is about academic honesty, and I always use the same statement in every semester in my first lecture, which is, in my belief, the easiest way to fail an exam is to cheat. So please don't do that, right? Because the consequences are going to be really bad. So all the work that you submit must be your own, okay? And well, you can discuss general assignment concepts with the other students. Like if you have difficulty understanding how a switch statement work, then for that you can make use of Piazza, or you can come to my office hours. You can go to the TA's office hours, or if you know a friend in the a student in the class who's your friend, you can maybe schedule a meeting and help each other out in understanding the concepts, like how classes work, how the classes are defined, how objects are created, so on and so forth. So these are the general assignment concepts which you can discuss with your friends, TAs, and the instructor. But but you should never share the code. So as an example, say student A finished homework 1 and the student A gave the homework to student B, and both of them, they submitted the same assignment which was done by student A. So in academic dishonesty case, if we find that out, and we will find it out that these two people have copied, so in that case, we'll have to report it to the Academic Dishonesty Committee, or Academic Honesty Committee, you may call it in university, and they will look at it. And if you're found guilty, then the student A as well as student B, they will face the same consequences. They will both be penalized for that. So you should never share the code or the answers with other students. Be careful about seeking the help online. There is a lot of misinformation there. And all the assignments are subject to manual and automatic similarity checking. So please don't attempt to do that. Don't attempt to copy the, the solutions from your friends or from online resources. If you're suspected of cheating, you will be brought up to academic dishonesty charges, right? So that's the worst thing that may happen. If you're found guilty, you may receive an F for the course. So what are the suggestions? You should always plan ahead of time to avoid troubles. So the troubles could be, I need to replace blackboard with bright space. All right, so you never know, right? There may be some technical issue with the bright space uh, at the time when you're trying to submit, right? So yeah, the labs may be busy, computer bright space problems can happen. So start assignments and the labs as early as possible. Deadlines are non-negotiable. Take advantage of our office hours. Use the textbook and slides as the reference when working on assignments. All right, so that was it in the first class. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me or the TAs. And thank you so much. I'll be posting more information soon.